At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Another cold night upon us as we get into our Wednesday evening and into our Thursday morning. Hey, the final stretch of the work week is here and it's shaping up to be a good one. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor and we are tracking a lot during this 10 o'clock broadcast. May have seen it in the push. And one of those being, of course, a few flakes possible Friday. We'll see how that spells in our forecast. But we're also tracking patchy fog overnight. That's our headlines as we get here in the Room to Room Weather Center is going to first start with the here and now. And that's that patchy fog overnight for some. But watch the next headline. It's a cold start to Thursday. These two things together will result in the potential for some freezing fog. Yes, when temperatures drop below freezing, all of that moisture that forms at the surface in the form of fog, that could potentially result in freezing fog, and some of those roads, some of those, just anything on the ground will get potentially a thin layer of ice developing because of that freezing moisture right on those surfaces. Some flakes possible Friday, but like I mentioned, not going to be too impactful in the forecast. We'll get into that in much more detail here in the Room to Room Weather Center here in just a moment. Let's first focus on the first 12, and as you can see, 11 p.m., that patchy fog right overhead with 27 degrees. So we're talking about an extended period of time being below freezing and that fog sticking around as well. Now, some areas are going to see fog, others will not. So if you don't see fog, well, you're just one of the lucky ones. But we do expect that to primarily be around the Mississippi River, and a lot of folks out there still dealing with the effects of what was a busy weekend. Transitioning that into potentially another layer of that thin layer of ice just makes travel that much more hazardous, and that's why we're pushing that same message. Stay off those roads. If you are still in those affected areas, let crews get what they need to done and stay safe in the process. Those temperatures finally getting above freezing by around 10 a.m., so shaping up to be a better afternoon than the morning. Winona, as you can see, getting that little bit of fog there at the surface and temperatures at 28 degrees. I mean, we can see it's a saturated atmosphere with dew points in the upper 20s as well. Those two things line up. There's your potential freezing fog there at the surface in Montgomery County. Winds also non-existent, so it's not clearing out that moisture, and that's why we see that continuing to develop. I mean, even a 3-mile-an-hour wind could make all the difference in this setup. We're 29 in Macon, dew point at 26. You might notice I don't see any fog on that screen, and yes, that means the winds are definitely playing their part in this forecast, and we'll appreciate any bit of a breeze that we can get. If we take a look out there in Smithfield tonight, 27 degrees, 25-degree dew points, and even there, a 3-mile-an-hour wind coming out of the south and no fog in sight. So Monroe County, I know you're happy tonight. Hopefully continuing that into those overnight hours as well. As we take a look at our Mama Justice Doppler radar, not showing anything in regards to our radar. We're currently in clear air mode, meaning that there's nothing to track in the skies, and we'll continue to enjoy those exact same conditions getting into those overnight hours as well. Again, nothing in the skies. Everything we need to worry about is here on the surface. High pressure driving that forecast and keeping that drier air around. But also, because that high pressure is right overhead, those winds not going to be as breezy. And that's why we're going to be potentially getting some of that fog in the forecast overnight. A little bit of snowfall up there towards Kentucky, but yeah, definitely not our forecast here in North Mississippi. As we keep that futurecast moving, you can see high pressure remains overhead into those overnight hours, but as we start to get towards those early AM hours, we wrap around some of these southerly winds there on the west side of that high pressure center. What this does is it drives up all of this Gulf moisture down here in the Gulf, all the way up into North Mississippi, and you might see where it lines up. All the way up there into the Delta, that's where we'll see the highest potential of some of that fog forming, just because that's where the highest areas of moisture are. I mean, Montgomery County already getting a visual on some fog out there, and we're hopeful that that'll remain fog and not freezing fog, but with temperatures being what they're at, unfortunately, I think that's more of a expected result rather than a hope that it's not. Futurecast into your Thursday morning, we start to see this system developing out there towards Oklahoma and Texas. Whenever we're talking about that forecast, that's going to be the driver into Friday. And whenever we get into Friday, this system could result in a few flakes into our Friday forecast. We'll track that here in just a moment, but you can see it inching closer and closer into our Thursday. Not going to bring any rainfall Thursday. Those impacts will be more felt on our Friday, and even those very, very limited. But that warm front, being that we are in the warm sector, means our temperatures warm up nicely. I mean, we're 22 to start the day, but 46 by the afternoon. That's warmer than things have been the past couple of days. I mean, honestly, it might be the warmest temperatures we've seen in about nearly a week. So definitely a benefit and definitely something we can look forward to. Even those clouds clearing up on the back side of the day. So a little bit of a great forecast we get to enjoy on our Thursday. Just got to get through Thursday morning to enjoy it. Coming up here in the next 60, we'll be talking more details about those possible flakes on Friday, but we're really going to be breaking down that very cold forecast for the weekend. That's where the impacts will be felt, and we'll have all of that in full detail in the Room to Room Weather Center right here in the next 60.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, here is a look in Oxford, and I say a look and not a live look because this is the last visual we saw before the Oxford MDOT camera went out of availability, went out of service, and unfortunately that was our last visual, but fortunately we do get a visual out of Oxford today, and this is from an aerial view. Let's take a look. So here you're getting a look at some of that forecast, just the broken up ice there on the trees, and it was just an icy forecast for sure in Lafayette County, and so as you can see, breaking that off and some of those ice crystals falling. Oh, I do believe that is playing the back end of that video. There we go. That was what I was wanting. Some of that drone shot right there in Lafayette County, and you're seeing those trees weighed down. This is from Monday, but nonetheless, you get the point. And a lot of that in Oxford still looking the exact same way. Now, travel, I mean, you can see how slow they're driving. Honestly, not advised right now in Oxford. Folks at Ole Miss are going to be out of school all the way up until February 8th because of the impacts that we're seeing on the campus of Ole Miss, but all throughout the city of Oxford. And so doing that out of a urgency of caution. And so folks like right here, not recommending to get up on those roadways. Some trees down as well. It's just a devastating sight to see. And so we are saying prayers, not just for Oxford, but all across North Mississippi, as we're all still picking up the pieces from what was an impactful weekend, all things considered. Bringing it back in here to the Room to Room Weather Center, we're taking looks across North Mississippi, and this is a look out there in Clarksdale, and you can still see that blanket of white there on the ground. Now, a big reason why that's still there, temperatures, they've been above freezing, but not to a point that's going to fully melt it out in one day. I mean, we'll need that to be pretty warm in order for that to happen, and unfortunately has not been the case. We've only had about 3 or 4 hours each afternoon that we've sat above freezing. Now, tomorrow, things are going to be above freezing for an extended period of time, so hopefully some of this white does go away for folks in Clarksdale, because I know it's just a nuisance to deal with as we continue to work our way into Thursday, and this has been something that started on Friday night and working our way into Saturday. So 29 degrees in Clarksdale, sticking around overnight and potentially adding some of that freezing fog we mentioned a moment ago. Greenwood, a lot of darkness, but I do see some lights, and so that's some of that power being restored all across North Mississippi. Again, those numbers continue to go down. and we're hopeful. We're excited that one day it'll be at 0, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later. Temperatures right now across North Mississippi, the coldest area is going to be 27 in Oxford, 23 in Senatobia right now. A very cold forecast up there. We mentioned 27 Clarksdale, 29 Greenwood, it's 30 in Houston, 27 in Amory, and 35 Macon and Aliceville, so still above freezing in some spots, but those will gradually diminish overnight and working our way into our Thursday morning. As we take a look outside on our Mama Justice Doppler radar, it is going to be a calm forecast like we mentioned, but it's been calm all day long, so no surprise there, and we'll continue to enjoy the effects of high pressure. And that satellite imagery, if I put it on a loop real quick to get a visual on any fog, there's not really any fog to track so far. We've had periods off and on of showing some fog, not showing some fog. And so as we get into that 6-hour loop, you can see how there was some cloud cover earlier on today. Now potentially getting a little bit more of that moisture over there towards the Mississippi River. How that continues to build, that's what we're watching overnight. But we do expect that to become a little bit more still, winds to be non-existent. And that's where that moisture will take advantage of the atmosphere and build in some of that fog. And with temperatures being well below freezing fog is also something we expect overnight. 25 degrees by midnight, 22 by 6 a.m. And again, fog is not going to be for everybody, but we're concerned for the areas that it does form for, because that is going to be that thin layer of ice making travel a little bit more hazardous. And we'll see that on Futurecast in a little bit more detail. As you can see, getting into those overnight hours, we basically have these rough, jagged looking clouds developing over certain areas. That's that fog that continues to build in parts of Clarksdale, Batesville, up there towards Olive Branch. A large portion of where it develops actually still in areas that are being affected by that winter storm that happened this past weekend. So it's not ideal, but don't be surprised if you've driven over there and you thought, well, travel's getting better. Could be a little bit more hazardous towards our Thursday morning as that thin layer of ice develops. Thursday morning, we continue to see mostly cloudy skies for the rest of us in North Mississippi, but cold air will be the forecast no matter where you're at. We're talking 17 Holly Springs, 18 in Corinth, 20 in Tupelo, 22 Eupora, and 23 for parts of Belzona and Greenwood. If we keep that forecast moving and looking at wind chill, well, in order for fog to form, wind doesn't need to be in the forecast, so we don't have any wind to worry about. Temperatures are already pretty cold, so wind wouldn't really do any more damage than what the temperatures are already doing. Zooming things out on our Thursday, there isn't anything to track here in North Mississippi because of the high pressure center that remains overhead. But as we move our way throughout our Thursday, you do see the system gradually building in from the west into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then soon into North Mississippi. Now, what this is going to do Thursday is have this warm front right overhead, allowing for that warmer air to move into North Mississippi and our temperatures to be slightly warmer than even what they were today. And today wasn't too bad, especially speaking about the last couple of days, one of the warmest days we've seen in quite some time. As we work our way into our Thursday afternoon, that breakup in the cloud cover, allowing for that sunshine to peek through, and that's where those temperatures will climb once again. And as that system inches closer, what do you see? Moisture. Moisture starting to develop on the backside of that low, and that, paired with some of the cold temperatures on our Friday morning, potentially resulting in a few flakes. And we'll get into that here in just a moment. I want to enjoy what we have on Thursday, and that's the warm air that's overhead. We're 49 in Bruce, 49 there towards Houston and Water Valley. 50s actually showing up in Eupora, Grenada, Greenwood, and 52 towards Kosciuszko. So Atala County, we're the bullseye of some very good news. The rest of us, though, mid to upper 40s, that's enough to melt some of that ice that has been a nuisance for quite some days now. And so we're hopeful that that'll it's not going to take it away completely, but at least make a big dent on all of that ice that still remains in North Mississippi. As we keep that moving overnight and into our Friday morning, I mentioned the potential for a few flakes. Well, this is the latest run of the HRRR model, and the HRRR model, I'll be honest, has been on the lower end of the spectrum in regards to any flakes forming. So anything that you see here is going to be the latest development and is going to be trending a little bit higher on some of the potential winter precip that we will see. Again, not going to see impactful precip, but may see a few flakes fall from the sky. As we get into our Friday morning, really early hours, you can see how it's very light rainfall and light precipitation at that point that we're getting moving into western portions of Mississippi. Now that'll build across the river and potentially a few flakes for folks in Greenville, Cleveland, and Clarksville. That's not impossible whatsoever. But as this low remains overhead, we are still getting that colder air back behind it, and not going to be surprised at all if we get a few flakes on the front end of the day. Again, this is the lower end of the spectrum. There are some models that maybe have us getting into a dusting, but even a dusting not going to be overly impactful. So we're hopeful that this will continue to trend how it will, and we expect it to do exactly that. So everyone worried about a round two, This is far, far, far from around 2. Don't worry about that. Low temperatures on your Friday. 28 degrees Tupelo, 28 degrees Grenada, 27 around Senatobia, and 32 towards Greenville. So this area on the southwest portion of the area, south of 82, west of 55, that's where I would say is our highest likelihood of getting a few flakes on our Friday morning. Friday late evening, there is another potential, but even that's not going to be overly impactful. We'll see that right here on our Friday Futurecast. As that low continues to move right on through North Mississippi, we will see some of that, what we call wraparound moisture in that low pressure center. We have this counterclockwise motion kind of wrapping around that moisture within that warm front all the way into North Mississippi, and potentially in the back end of our Friday getting a few of those flakes here in the area. So what that means, throughout the day, we're remaining dry, mostly clear, plenty of sunshine, looking like a great forecast. But as we get into our Friday evening, that's where we could get some of those blues showing up once again, working its way into North Mississippi, and not at all an impossibility to get some of this moisture well up here into Kentucky and Illinois, dipping a little bit more south into our area, but this is very light. No, you are not expecting a round 2. Far from it. The most that we will get is a dusting, and I know that some folks may, see that on the ground and get a little bit scared based off of what happened this past weekend, but I do not want you guys to be alarmed. It's just going to be a very, very minimal impact to practically no impact event heading into our Friday and into our Friday night. As we take a look at high temperatures on your Friday, we are still trending above freezing. So anything that does fall, even if it does amount to a dusting, it will melt by the afternoon and hopefully take out some of that ice with it. 37 degrees Oxford, Boonville, Corinth, 42 Houston, 43 Eupora, and 44 right around Starkville. Looking over there towards northwest Alabama, we are topping out around 47 degrees in Aliceville. So some areas better than others, but all of us pretty much sitting at or above freezing all day long. Now, rain chances, or should I say precipitation chances over the next several days. We do have that minimal threat Friday and Saturday with those flakes and light showers working their way through North Mississippi. But into midweek next week, we do see moisture in the forecast, and that'll bring some good news with it, and we'll track that in just a moment. If we look at our forecasted rainfall, this is the amount. If any of these flurries were to amount to anything, we're talking maybe 1/100th of an inch. So when we say non-impact, this is what we mean. We're not expecting anything major to come out of this system, fortunately, as we still deal with the effects from last weekend. Where the more significant impacts will be felt is up there towards the Carolinas, as they have over an inch of accumulated moisture, and that could be in the form of snow, that could be in the form of rainfall, that could be in the form of ice. But that is over there in the Carolinas, not here in Mississippi. We are again staying, just basically clearing up what last weekend did, and trust me, we need as much dry air as we can get to make sure to continue to clear those things out. Our 7-day forecast, I told you we do have some good news to look forward to. That'll come by midweek next week. What we do need to worry about before we get there is that Friday chance of precipitation, but then that extreme cold moving into the forecast after. We're talking into the teens Saturday and Sunday. 14 degrees starting temperature for Saturday, 12 degrees start temperature for Sunday. By the afternoon, 26 degrees Saturday afternoon, 34 by Sunday afternoon. And look at what happens by midweek. Seasonable temperatures back into the forecast. So this pattern of cold air, I'm not going to say it will end, but potentially take a break by Wednesday if that moisture continues to remain in the forecast. We do expect there to be a system by midweek. Now, timing is still a little bit flip-floppy in that forecast, but we'll line that up as we get into the days ahead. But it does at least give that glimmer of hope, that light at the end of the tunnel as we work our way to the end of this forecast, the end of the 7-day forecast. And I know if you're like me and sick of all this winter impact, we're ready for a break. We're ready for the summer forecast. Hey, when do the warmer temperatures get here, right? Well, we'll be tracking that in full detail, working our way through this forecast, but don't overlook your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because that is going to be impactful and dangerously cold air. So stay safe, stay warm, stay prepared. And looking through the comments here real quick, yes, Maggie is going to be live at 6:37 and 7:30. If you have not checked out one of those shows, it's definitely worthwhile. It gets you ready for the day ahead. And especially with this high-impact winter event that happened this past weekend, you'll definitely want to know where things stand and how you can get prepared for the rest of the day. And it's going to be a good one. I hope that you guys do have a fantastic night. Enjoy the drier, calmer conditions. If you do have fog, drive with those low beams and just stay safe and stay warm. We can't push that enough. And we thank you so much for trusting us with all of your weather needs. And I promise that we will continue to provide that here in the Room to Room Weather Center. As we take a look at the free app, make sure to download that today on iOS and Android. That is, again, free and available on either app store. We also have Roku out and ready to download. Search Mississippi Live and download our app. You can tune into any of these broadcasts, and those broadcasts are on at every day during the week at 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley, and of course our evening shows at 5, 6, and 10. Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon and I walk you through the latest on that forecast. And don't forget Caleb on the weekends, 6 and 10, latest on that forecast. He'll have that for you. So we're here 7 days a week, giving you the latest on that weather here in North Mississippi. You guys have a terrific night, a terrific Thursday. Stay safe, stay dry, stay warm. We'll see you later.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.